Today we'll discuss direct and inverse proportions exercise 10.2. First problem, observe the following tables and find which pair of variables x and y are in inverse proportion. So we have to remember one thing, in inverse proportion x into y is always constant. That means x1 y1 equal to x2 y2 equal to x3 y3 etc. is equal to some constant k. Here we are given x and y values, this is 50, 40, 30, 20 for values of x. Let us name them as a, b, c and d. Okay. Again y has 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now let us find out xy here. What is xy? For a, 50 into 5 is 250. For b, 6 into 40, 240. So for c, 30 into 7 is 210. For d, 20 into 8 is 160. Here all the xy values are different. They are not equal. So we know that because xy is not equal to constant, x and y here are not in inverse proportion. So we can write the same here. Xy is 250 here, xy is 240, xy is 210 and xy is 160. Because xy is not equal to constant, x and y are not in inverse proportion. Second bit, again xy values are given. Let us find xy. X into y, 100 into 60 is 6000, 200 into 30 is also 6000, 300 into 20 is also 6000 and 400 into 15 is also 6000. Because in inverse proportion xy equal to constant, these variables x and y are in inverse proportion. Third bit, again x and y are given. We'll write xy here. Here all the xy values are not same. So in a, b, c, d, e and f, xy is not constant. Therefore x and y are not in inverse proportion. Next, a school wants to spend 6,000 rupees to purchase books. Using this data, fill the following table. So one thing is clear here. The school wants to spend only 6,000. So depending on change of price of each book, we have to purchase those many number of books, because this 6,000 is constant here. 6,000 is constant. Okay. So that means these are in inverse proportion. So if the price of the book increases, naturally the number of books purchased will decrease. So price of the book in the first case is 40. So how many books can be purchased with 6,000 rupees? So 6,000 by 40 is 150. Okay. Second, 50 is the price of each book. So how many books can be purchased? 120. Next, it is given that 100 books are purchased. That means what is the price of each book? For 6,000 you can buy 100 books of 60 rupees each. So similarly 75 is the price of the book. So number of books will be 80. Next, price of book is 80. So how many books can be purchased for 6,000? 75. So like this, in inverse proportion, xy is also always equal to constant. Here x1, y1, x2, y2 etc. is equal to 6,000. So based on that we can fill the table like this. Arrange 48 squares in different number of rows. See, for example, given number of rows are 2, 3, 4, 6 and 8. We know that here he gave these two values. Okay. Because 48 is the total number of squares, 12 into 4 is 48, 6 8s are 48. Okay. So we have to fill the remaining table values. So first here the number of rows are 2. That means columns will be 48 by 2, 24. So that the product will be 48. Similarly, if the number of rows is 3, number of columns will be 16. So that the product will be 48. Next, if the number of rows is 8, number of columns will be 6. So that the product is again 48. So because we are arranging only 48 squares in different rows and columns, we see that as R increases, C decreases. If R decreases, C increases. So these two are in inverse proportion. Is R1 by R2, is R1 is to R2 equal to C2 is to C1? This means R1 by R2 equal to C2 by C1. That also means after cross multiplication, C1 into R1 equal to C2 into R2. Let us check. R1 is 2, C1 is 24. So 2 into 24 equal to R2 is 3, C2 is 16. So 2 into 24 is 48, 3 into 16 is also 48. So R1 is to R2 equal to C2 is to C1. Similarly, is R3 is to R4 equal to C4 is to C3? Same way. 12 into 4 is 6 into 8. Therefore, this is also right. Is R and C inversely proportional to each other? Are they in inverse proportion? Yes, because R into C is constant in all the above cases. So, R and C are inversely proportional to each other. Now, we have to repeat this activity with 36 squares. That means 36 is the constant here. Rows, 2 rows, 18 columns. 3 rows, 12 columns. 4 rows, 9 columns. 6 rows, 6 columns. 9 rows, 4 columns. 12 rows, 3 columns. 18 rows, 2 columns. In all these cases, rows into columns will be 36, which is a constant. So, this is inverse proportion. Like, share and subscribe.